Denver, the last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole lot more. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with our special guest, Tim Davis. This is the podcast where Matt, Tim, and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal cinema, and then we talk about it in the parking lot, in the scary corner where there's no lights because something's going on with the lights in the parking lot. And we talk about such things as, should you see this movie, should you not, should you see it in theaters, should you pass, wait for streaming, and maybe a little nuggets of wisdom and facts here and there spliced in for flavor. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and yes, we have Tim Davis here with us once again.
That is right. I am here.
Yes. Well, yeah, and it's pretty strange, actually, this parking lot being totally dark like this. Usually the lights are always on.
Hopefully the murderer of us has enough politeness in them to post this podcast after they kill us.
Correct. Our legacy will live on.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, we saw a movie tonight. This movie is called Jurassic World Domination.
Dominion?
Dang it.
It was a
gotta
D
read
word.
those credits.
You were close.
Jurassic World Dominion.
There it is.
Okay, thank you. This is why we can't have just one person do this podcast.
Correct.
It's a team effort.
Let the Jurassic Park expert help you out.
Yes, Jurassic Park expert Tim Davis is here with us tonight, and we're happy for it. So yes, so this is the latest and final installment of the Jurassic series here, where we started with Jurassic Park in 1993?
Correct.
And here we are all these years later. Why couldn't they just wait one more year to put this out so it could be a nice little, round numbers between? But they didn't, and here we are, and we saw it. So, who's in this? Well, you've got Chris Pratt is in this, reprising his role. You've got several others reprising their roles from the original movie. Jeff Goldblum, although I think he's in a few.
He's in the last one. He was in the last one.
Yeah.
He's in Star of Lost World.
Yes. Sam Neill.
Yes.
And Laura Dern.
Yes.
Both in this. And that could be the end of my famous people list.
You don't know Bryce Dallas Howard?
I mean, only
Ron Howard's daughter?
Well,
been in a lot of stuff.
Okay. What's her most famous role?
Besides these?
I would say probably the first movie in this trilogy. And then,
Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, she was in the original Spider-Man 3. She was Gwen Stacy.
Okay.
She was also in The Help, which was popular at the time, but now we all kind of see how
She was also in
dumb that movie was.
one of those M. Night Shyamalan movies as well.
Okay.
Oh yeah, The Village.
The Village.
She's been around.
All right.
I would say she's not a draw. Like
No, but she's in the famous
she's
name
been
at this
enough.
point.
Yeah. So I would cross the line to say celebrity, but I would put an emphasis on if she can't carry a movie.
No.
All right. So
Yes.
so we'll add her. I'll add her somewhat begrudgingly to the bottom of the list.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyone else?
B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong, who is in Jurassic Park 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
he
has showed returned in World and was in Fallen Kingdom as well.
many, many, many years of Law and Order SVU.
Correct.
Fair enough.
There's plenty of other stuff.
But he's one of the
can do,
original
but that's-
characters of Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Well.
He might be just shy of celebrity, I would say. I mean, like, if someone saw his name, they'd be like, who?
Yeah.
The minute you
you've
saw
seen
his
him.
face, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. It was nice
Well,
to see him again.
I wouldn't, but
Yeah, that's
Fair.
it's okay. I'm glad they brought him back from the very beginning. And a shaving can from the first movie is in this as well.
Yes, they nicely slipped that in there.
So
never mind. I'll talk about that in my
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, I have my own things here.
So, what is this movie about? Well, this movie is about dinosaurs have basically spread throughout the world, and various scientists are like, what's going on with everything? And then there's like this plague of giant locusts that's destroying the world's agriculture, and
Genetically engineered locusts.
yes. There's suspicion that they are engineered by this company called, what is it called? Biosyn?
Yes.
Biosyn. Who basically they are the caretakers of all the dinosaurs that are trapped in the world, and they're taken to this Biosyn Valley where the dinosaurs live. And they do genetic testing, experiments, etc. on them. So, there's some suspicions that these locusts are genetically engineered and somehow tie back to the Biosyn company. And so that's where we get Ellie Sattler.
Yep.
Sadler.
You got
Sadler.
it. Sattler. Yep.
And what's his name?
Alan Grant.
Alan Grant. They come on the scene and they're trying to solve that mystery. So at the same time, we've got Chris Pratt and
Bryce.
yep, and they've got this girl with them. I can't remember if she's in any of the other movies.
She was in the last one.
She's in the last one.
Kingdom.
Okay. And so they are living kind of in the wilderness with this girl because she is a special clone type person. And the Biosyn company wants her too, as well as there's the Velociraptor Blue, who is featured in several films as well, has had a baby who they call Beta in this movie. And since there's no male Velociraptor, this is sort of a spontaneously created Velociraptor, and Biosyn wants this baby as well. So, for reasons that become clear later on. And then there's also kind of this, if we talk about how the world is, there's kind of this dinosaur poaching industry that's featured pretty prominently. And so in the course of human events, the dinosaur poachers come in and they take the baby Velociraptor, they take the girl Maisie, who's the clone, and they take them all back to Biosyn Valley, which is somewhere, I think it's in Italy or something.
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
And so then Chris Pratt's character and Bryce Howard, is that the right name?
Bryce Dallas Howard, yeah.
I mean, out of order, but yes.
Howard. I
Bryce
had
Dallas.
all the things.
names.
Yeah.
Yes. They go and they're like, oh, we're gonna go there and we're gonna get our girl back and we're gonna get the baby Velociraptor back, and so that's so everybody meets at Biosyn, where there's a sort of evil
Adventures ensue.
person in charge of the whole thing who makes some poor decisions.
I mean, I would assume that person was Steve Jobs. Like, I don't know what exactly they were going for.
Going for that vibe, yeah.
But I was like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they meet up with, they run into evil Steve Jobs.
Evil Steve Jobs is the president, CEO, runner, founder, whatever of Biosyn.
Dodged in a character from the first movie who's in one scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Jurassic expert Tim Davis. So everyone gets to this facility. There's a pilot who gets involved and she kind of helps out with stuff. There's a person who is an employee of the company, and it's sort of heavily, they never come out and say this, but it's sort of heavily implied that he's like some kind of clone of the guy who runs the facility.
That's the feeling I got, yeah.
That's the feeling I got.
Yeah.
But they never say that.
They let you draw the...
They let you draw your own conclusion there. I'm going to draw it for you and tell you there's a heavy vibe of that. And so he is kind of he's like a insider person, a communication person. So when the two scientists gets there, he's like taking them around, and it turns out that Jeff Goldblum's character is there. He's like, he works there. But he kind of tipped off Ellie Sattler and told her she needs to come there and see what's going on. So everyone makes their way to this facility. There's lots of dinosaurs, and everyone is there to accomplish a mission. Everyone accomplishes their mission, and then they have to accomplish escaping all the dinosaurs, and then dinosaurs fight, and then that's it. That's it, really.
Yep.
Everybody lives. Who doesn't die? Ho-ho!
What a swerve.
Yes. So that's I think that's sort of the plot as far as we can go without telling you exactly what happens. Todd, it's time for your thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion.
So I'll just start by saying I was not the biggest fan of this movie. And honestly, a lot of it has to do is that it was covered in the stench of Fallen Kingdom, which was a god-awful movie. And so, like, they're kind of picking up the pieces of that movie in this one, where I was, like, pretty done with that whole movie and plot, and it's too heavily entwined with that movie. And it just kind of, it also felt like they didn't learn their lesson from that movie. Like, it was a lot of, like, let's just kind of repeat the same things. And it did not make for the most enjoyable time. I mean, there was, like, they were going for a lot of nostalgia factor. You have the original actors from the first movie. You've got some stuff that pops up from the first movie, like the shaving cream can, which I have... It's ridiculously unbelievable that someone found that can. So there was not a moment of, haha, look at that thing. It was in the first movie. It was more like when I saw it, I was like, come on, you gotta be effing kidding me.
Yeah.
And it, like, and I think sitting through this movie and watching the old actors versus these actors, I think my biggest problem with this whole thing is that you really felt, in the original movie, you felt for these characters who were brought into the situation, and then the situation explodes, and then it's a survival game. Whereas the newer characters helped create the problem, and so I get this kind of like, sense of like, well, you know, they're trying to make up for their mistakes, but also I couldn't connect with any of the characters from these newer movies, and honestly, I did not care. Like, and at times I was kind of rooting for their death. So which is, to me, if I'm rooting for these characters' death, I don't think you're doing right by the movie / by them. And honestly, this movie comes out when we've had a lot of nostalgia movies come out. And, you know, thinking about the Top Gun Mavericks, the Ghostbusters, like, those movies captured the nostalgia and did such a good job with it. I think the bar is set pretty high for nostalgia movies now, and this one is nowhere near that as far as like just recreating scenes and trying to be like, oh, wasn't that cool? You know, it connects to the first movie and stuff like that. It just didn't hit like at all. And one of my biggest problems with this movie is that there is, in my opinion, there is zero chemistry between Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt. Like, I just was like, I don't connect with this thing at all. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, and I didn't necessarily feel that way in the other movies. I just didn't care. But in this movie, I was like, I don't really believe these two people could actually be together. It just, so, you know, you've got your stuff that you would expect from a movie like this. You've got some jump scares, you've got some dinosaurs fighting, and it just felt like they had all those marks that they want to hit, and they just loosely strung along plot to get you from, you know, to those big moments that they wanted to create. And I was just not a fan of this whole locust subplot. Like, it just, I mean, like, I guess I get what they're going for. You know, like, if we're untapping genetic mutation, of course someone's going to take it in a bad direction and all that kind of stuff. But I just wasn't, like, I didn't care. Like, this movie did not make me care. The only area where it made me care a little bit was with the older characters. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of care what happens to them because we're so invested in them at this point. But all these newer characters, I don't care. So, you know, like, I would say to me, the best part of the movie that I found myself enjoying the most was when Alan Grant and Sattler and the girl are stuck in, like, the cave stuff. Like, that to me felt like a lot of the first movie of, it was not action-packed or whatever. It was suspenseful. It was a little bit of suspense horror. Like, it was, like, kind of all those elements that really made you go, oh! In the first movie, you know, I found myself a little bit coming back to that mentality and feeling it in those areas. But otherwise, these movies, and thinking about the 3 movies versus the first movie, these movies are much more of an action-packed, action fighting movies, like of, like, you know, dinosaurs versus men versus other dinosaurs. Let's all fight, you know, like, and see what happens. And it just didn't. None of these movies have captured the original kind of feeling of one Jurassic Park to me. So as far as acting goes, I mean, it was fine. I don't really even feel like anyone, like, hit it out of the park. I mean, I was happy to see Sam Neill and Laura Dern, and honestly, Jeff Goldblum has become such a character of himself that, like, every time I see him, I'm like, okay, you're like the Jeff Goldblum that we all used to know times 11. Like, you're just dialing it in so hard to, I guess, what you are nowadays. It's just so distracted and bad. Like, you know, like, I don't know. If you're a fan of these movies and you like these kind of movies, then sure, go and see it in theaters, because there are, like, big dinosaur action scenes and stuff like that I think, you know, play well in the theater versus where if you saw it at home, you'd be like, okay, this is not as good as the theater. So if you're, like, really into these movies, if you're like a Tim Davis and you gotta see this movie, then sure, go see it in theaters. If you were not a fan of the movie before this one, in my opinion, that's going to stretch into this movie of you not enjoying this one, because it just connects too heavily to the last one, which was, in my opinion, obviously the weakest one of all the movies.
Easily.
So, you know, so if this is your bag, then you're going to see it no matter what I say. But honestly, if you're, like, waiting for someone to give an opinion and be like, hey, you're kind of on the fence about it, then I'm going to kick you off the fence on the side of not seeing it. It's just, I just really don't feel like there was anything truly rewarding about this movie. It was a super weak plot and strung together little side plots just to get all these characters into one central location. And they still didn't even answer their own freaking question, which was, like, can dinosaurs and humans coexist? Like, that's the driving force of the movie to start the movie. And then by the end, it's just like, I don't know, I guess, maybe. You know, like, it's just like, I don't know. Honestly, the events after this movie, which I hope we don't ever get another one, but the events after this movie are more what I want to see at this point, which is how in the world does how does the world survive with this kind of stuff going on, which is kind of what I thought we were going to get this movie, but we really didn't. Like, it's all about super genetically enhanced locusts and evil scientist guys, and all that's, you know, this evil scientist guy has been played out for several movies at this point about high-ranking billionaires doing bad stuff. I mean, that's been a plot in every single movie so far, and I don't know. I'm kind of done. I'm just done with this franchise. It was started off with a huge bang, and then it's been a decline ever since. And I know Tim is a big fan of World, so let's just say it peaked up a little bit there, but then it's just straight back down. Yep. So, you know, like, who cares? It wasn't good enough to really make me enforced go see this movie. So that's where I'm at. Tim Davis, what did you think about this movie as the Jurassic Park expert in the car here?
So yes, as these guys have mentioned, I love the first movie. I think it's one of the best movies of all time. I would put it at a 4.9 in our rating scale.
I would like to know what that 0.1 is that took it from being a 5. Can you narrow that down?
Well, it's just because the movies I have above it are just perfect movies.
I gotcha.
And I feel like I love Jurassic Park 1. There are a couple of scenes that are a little stretched out, that are really good dialogue scenes, but, building to the suspense takes a little while. But I love the first movie. And like Todd said, it really was such head and shoulders above what else has come since. They've tried to take this franchise into a franchise, and it's been very hit or miss quality over the years. I know I'm a fan of 3, but that's mainly because I love Sam Neill as Alan Grant. 3 is a very short movie that's quick with action and doesn't waste time, so that's why I appreciated it. Spielberg has himself mentioned how Lost World was not his best work, and I agree with him. I still enjoy it more than most of the World franchise. I did like World and what it tried to do, and ironically, Jurassic World 1 has the same director as this one, which I thought he did a great job with World in doing that. I thought that movie was great at mixing the nostalgia with, hey, here's stuff from the first part, but we're in a new world now, and this is how it's going to go. There were some cheesy parts of World, and the turn to action with the Pratt characters. I agree it was a little too much, but I still enjoyed World for what it tried to do. Fallen Kingdom, like Todd said, is awful and just terrible, and this movie does connect to it too much. So, as the Jurassic Park fan here, I was disappointed with this movie as well. Again, the trailers promised a movie like with Fallen Kingdom that you don't get. How do dinosaurs exist in this world with humans? And we get teases of that at the very beginning. And then there's one action scene where they're running through a city and the dinosaurs just are walking around, chasing them. And that was cool. But that might have been the only really cool sequence in the movie. Again, there's just too much CGI in this movie. The big downfall for me for these later sequels has been the dinosaurs are all too fake looking. What the amazing part of the first movie that still holds up is those dinosaurs look so real. And with that also is the awe and wonder of the first movie. Seeing dinosaurs is like, wow. By number 6 here, you're like, okay, great. So now we just have some updated designs because now we know more dinosaurs had feathers and more look like birds than we thought. And it's just...
Yeah, all the dinosaur nerds will probably be happy with this.
Yeah, dinosaur experts.
Oh, the dinosaurs now look like they're, what they're supposed to look like.
They're reflecting the new science. Great. Yeah. I agree with Todd also. I'm invested when Grant, Sattler, and Malcolm are on the screen because of our history with them, and they were in better movies. And you're kind of rooting for something fun to happen, and it never quite gets there. And at first I thought, well, this is a very different Jurassic Park movie than all the rest. We're going on missions, we're kind of trying to stop the science from happening, but not from within a failing park. I'll give it credit for being a different Jurassic Park movie than all the rest of them. But it never got anywhere interesting. It wanted to. It was trying to. By making the villain Dodgson from the first movie and paying off, actually, ironically, the second book, which had nothing to do with the movie they made, was like, okay, I appreciate that at the very beginning, and then it didn't fulfill that either. So it was all these could-haves and never became what it should have. And for the last movie in this franchise that started so well, it's just kind of sad to watch it kind of peter out here. Especially the fact that you got the original actors back to do this. And, they paid off some things that bothered me in 3 of Grant and Sattler not being together, which I appreciated. But, again, it just felt more like, hey, fans, here you go, with not the same thought and love that Top Gun Maverick had for Top Gun. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping Colin Trevorrow, the director, would do that like he did with World, but he did not at all. So yes, I agree with Todd. Fallen Kingdom is the dirt worst of this franchise, but Dominion, while it was better, I don't think has any replay value either. I've seen it, and I don't see any reason why I would watch it again. And that's sad for a franchise where I've seen Jurassic Park 1 about 20 times in the theater alone, and would do it again. I don't think I could say the same for most of the World franchise. And that's sad, because this used to be a mighty great name in the movie world, and they've run it into the ground. And that's where the Jurassic Park fan falls on this.
Deep.
Okay. Well, will I fall in line with the opinions of my car mates here?
I don't
Or
know.
will
I heard some deep, heavy sighs during the movie, which is typically your tell when things are bothering you.
Yes, it's true. Well, I'll say some things I liked about this movie.
Excellent.
Um,
Bring this up.
I liked the dinosaurs. I thought that for the most part, I could believe them, and it was cool to see dinosaurs with feathers running around. Maybe I'm a dinosaur nerd.
Man, that sounds like a dinosaur nerd to me.
Yeah. Nerd.
They have
They
feathers now.
finally got it right.
So that was cool.
I did enjoy the return of the Spitters, who hadn't been seen since the first movie.
Yes, the Spitters were in this, a couple different places, and that was good. I agree. That's a good part. I like Jeff Goldblum being a caricature of himself.
I will chime in and agree with that, too. He was the only one that had me chuckling through this movie.
Yes. There were several times where he just is saying something nonsensical, and
It just works.
I just believe that he is
That's
just
it.
saying something nonsensical. It's not in the script. He's
Yeah.
just going
Most
with
likely.
it.
I mean, I think he at this point, Jeff Goldblum knows why people bring him to the table.
Yep.
And he's like, well,
Yep.
I
and
gotta,
to
I
be
gotta do
fair,
it.
this was not a stretch of how Ian Malcolm, the character, is either.
No.
No, I don't think so. But it just from all the movies have been in, even the one where he was the main character,
Yes.
it felt very much like
Play into it more.
much
Yeah.
more in this movie. I could be off base. I haven't seen
No,
the
no,
rest.
he was
I haven't
more-
watched the other movies
He was
in a
more
long
serious.
time.
He was more serious in Lost World than I actually
Yeah.
didn't appreciate as much, because I didn't think he was as funny as he was supposed to be.
Yes. So, I think I benefited from. I haven't seen all the movies.
Ah,
I have seen a few of them. I can't even tell you which one.
That's fine.
I think I saw the last two though.
okay.
Before
Okay,
this
so
one.
you're
And the
caught up
first
You've
on
seen
this
the world,
trilogy.
so you knew
Yes,
Fallen
yes.
Kingdom.
Yeah. But I think the fact that I don't have that, I'm not carrying around the memories, bad or good, really, from anything except for all the way back in the first one. So I see the characters from the first one, and that's happy. That's a good memory. I agree that I just don't care about Chris Pratt's character and I don't care about the blue velociraptor.
Every stinking movie in this trilogy has been about Chris Pratt and his bond with raptors.
Right.
It's just played out at this
I
point.
would even argue in this one, it's the least it's been.
Yeah.
Blue was barely in it.
Right.
Oh, but his love of blue was.
I got it, but it just even
all-
that was
all the
played
time.
down. I thought.
Yeah. So I don't. That's something I didn't like. I thought that there were several times where the CGI failed.
Agreed.
For the most part, it was good, but there was a couple times where I was just like, "Oh, what am I looking at? That's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
It shouldn't look like
You
that."
shouldn't have Uncanny Valley with dinosaurs.
Well, I
Right.
kind of felt like, and I don't know, as not a CGI person, I don't know if this plays into effect, but I felt like every dark scene that had a CGI in it, like to make sure that people could kind of see what the CGI was, it was like illuminated more than what the
Right.
dark scene calls for.
Right.
So you have this dark scene, and then all of a sudden you have this slightly shades lighter CGI dinosaur that you're like, well, that's obviously fake. Like,
Right.
Which is terrible. Again, going back to the first movie, where everything, even the CG of 1993, looked real.
Yeah. So and you mentioned the lighting, a small thing, but still, how many different kinds of ways to light up the dark can we have in this movie?
Yeah.
There's one scene where two characters have normal flashlights,
Yep.
and inexplicably the third character is carrying a torch.
Yes.
There's a torch with two flashlights. Just like walk behind your friend with the flashlight. It'll be fine.
That's not how Alan Grant works. He needs a torch.
He needs a
He's
torch.
the torch guy.
Yes.
Remember, he's the anti-technology guy.
Right. Right. He's against flashlights. And then there's another part where they're like traversing. They have these glow stick things.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway,
Yes.
minor thing, but
No, not really.
there are quite a few things that are like, what? Why would
Yeah.
they do that? That doesn't make any sense. Which normally, you have to take some of that in movies.
Sure.
It's like suspend your disbelief, but
There are a lot of escapes that at some point the numbers are going to catch up to you.
yeah,
One impossible moment after the other.
Yes.
yeah.
Like from almost start to finish.
The animals were almost stormtroopers.
Alluding to their accuracy, right?
Yes, as
Yeah.
far as like how they just kept missing.
So, all that being said, I think I liked this movie.
Think.
You think you did? Or
I
you
think I
did?
liked this
Okay.
movie.
Okay.
It was fine. It wasn't a great movie. It wasn't better than Jurassic Park.
No.
You're not gonna get that.
Nothing ever will be.
I can't get behind a movie where they're passing out radios and one person says I'm on 5 and the other person says okay I'm on 3 and then they separate.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you be on the same channel?
Well,
Yeah.
that is true.
That was another one.
And yeah, so there's plenty of moments like that. But for me, you got some dinosaurs. You've got some dinosaurs fighting. You've got beloved characters making their way around. Yeah, the story's kind of weak, but I don't know. I feel like I had a good time anyway, despite my sighing.
there were definitely a couple where I was like it just was like
The funny thing is, half the time I don't realize I'm doing it.
oh I've learned to clock it because I'm like
Yes.
oh I know what's coming in the review then.
Anyway, so I would say go see it in the theater. Obviously, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, you're going to see it. Might as well go see it in the theater where you got your big dinosaurs up on the screen.
Them big old dinosaurs.
Big old dinosaurs with their feathers and they're swimming in water and jumping out of ice and
All kinds.
all kinds of things that dinosaurs, I don't think they do, but they did in this movie.
Well, these aren't real dinosaurs. They're genetically engineered dinosaurs.
Oh,
We don't know what they can do.
That's true. That's true.
I mean for all the dinosaurs apparently had no problem with like cold.
Right.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Which I
Well,
feel
they are
like,
cold. Technically, they're reptiles, so they would be cold-blooded.
Well, right, but that means your body temperature stays at the same thing as the air, so you would be in hibernation or dead in cold. Anyway, that's where I'm gonna leave off. I'm gonna say I enjoyed myself and yeah, it was fine.
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 Fine. You just want more than fine from a Jurassic Park movie.
I do,
Yeah.
but I was willing to accept fine.
I don't think you
I
had
wanted
a choice
more.
in that.
But I'm gonna accept fine.
Well, so how many dino DNA shaving cream bottles would you give this movie? As a movie that has living dinosaurs in it is the most ridiculous point of this movie to me is the shaving cream bottle.
Right.
obviously 0 being the worst, because then you have not only no shaving cream, but you got no DNA.
Right.
5 being the best, because then you have tons of shaving cream and lots of dino DNA to start your own park, which obviously is a good idea. We've never seen that go poorly.
Barbasol thanks you.
Right.
Yeah. Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with 2.9 Barbasol shaving cream canisters.
Almost to that complete third set.
What?
Almost to that complete third.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Third can.
So you're just missing a little bit of dino DNA.
A little bit.
It supposedly
little
fall
bit.
in the mud.
Yeah. Like I said, this movie was fine. It's not great. It might not even be good. It's just fine.
It's just there.
It's better. It's better. I think it in general it's a better movie than average. And so that's where I'm going to fall with 2.9.
That's a fair Matt assessment.
Yes.
Tim Davis, what you got?
I will have to put Dominion, with the nostalgia characters helping it out, to probably higher than it deserves. But since Fallen Kingdom for me is like a 0.1,
Whoa.
I'm gonna put
That's a low rating.
I'm gonna put Dominion at 2.1
Okay.
because there was enough Malcolmness that made me laugh. There were some shout-outs I did appreciate, although I agree with Todd, and the shaving cream can just is too much of a, oh look, it's this, even though there's no logical way it should be there.
It's got to make sense at least a little.
There was even a video game about people trying to find it on the island and they couldn't find it.
And really, it's just lazy to me, because all you
Yeah.
have to do is have someone go, how do you have that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the original, it had a tracking chip in it.
Yeah,
Boom.
fine.
I just solved that problem with just a little bit of thought.
Right. Yeah,
Or I recreated it because I'm a mad scientist.
Sure.
and I
Like,
wanted
just
to
a
have
little
There was
bit.
enough
like,
left
yeah.
that I
the
could-
mechanism.
But anyway, yes, 2.1 for me.
Okay.
Fair.
Todd.
Well, as a third movie in a row of Chris Pratt loving velociraptors, third movie in a row of so much hand out in front of him,
Oh,
for
gosh.
every dinosaur that pops up. Whoa, handout. This will solve every single issue with every single dinosaur that pops up. And the third movie in a row where he has to be on a motorbike with raptors around him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go 1.9 is where I'm at. I mean, I didn't really, knowing that this movie connected so much to the first one, even going into it, I really didn't have a high bar set at all, and it still managed to come under the bar.
Where did you have Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom is just really horrible. I mean, under 1 for sure.
Okay, like me.
But it's not like, I think the lowest rating I ever give is Cats, and I gave it like either a 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3. It's not worse than Cats. Like, Cats to
Well,
me
I
is
get-
still
Fallen, well,
just the
because
worst
of-
experience in a movie.
Because of your review, I have yet to see it. But Fallen Kingdom like actively made me angry. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating the Fallen Kingdom
Dominion
was a
didn't
good movie or
make
whatever.
this one didn't make me angry.
I've never had such a bad theater experience as Cats, except for when I saw Evita with my dad when I was in high
Ooh,
school,
yeah.
which was such a bad choice on our part.
Whoops.
So, yeah, so I'm at a 1.9. I mean,
No, I think that's fair.
I really, at this point, I just would like a movie with dinosaurs and humans, and let's just see how it works out. Like, even for, like you said earlier, this movie had no park. It still kind of had a park. It's got like
it
the
ended
whole,
up at a park. At the
yeah,
end.
it had the whole structure. Power goes down again. Like
Yep.
things are messing up. It's like, man, they
and
just
again,
really,
I think that was their way of trying to be. Oh, look, it's like the first one.
yeah, yeah. Oh, we gotta go do something with the power.
Oh, we gotta go
again.
turn the power
Oh,
on it.
yeah.
And Ellie's like, oh, I can do that. I'll be right there.
Yeah. So, and then raptors went from like the best hunters, the most efficient
Yeah,
thing
that
in
was
the
my
world,
problem.
to they can't stay upright with their running; they fall all over the place.
Yeah. Well.
So, 1.9. Obviously, I think our general consensus is if you're a Jurassic Park fan, you're gonna go see this no matter what. So you should see it in theaters. Yeah, but
Like me.
hopefully you go in with less knowledge. Maybe that'll make your experience better, like Matt.
Yep.
But I don't know. We'll see. Let us know. Comment. How did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you done with dinosaurs?
Never. All right. Well, any last thoughts before we wrap?
If you're in a dangerous situation and radios are passed out, be on the same channel.
Okay.
That's just a safety
Good
tip.
advice.
Yeah.
If you have the option of using a flashlight, don't choose a torch.
Also, there.
I will
So-
say that the torch was better at fighting off the dinosaurs than the
Well,
I don't know why
It
you
worked
saying
out.
that reminded me of this, but there is a point where Chris Pratt's character gets a trank gun,
Yes,
and they run into several dinosaurs along the way, and he just forgets that he has a trank gun and does not use it or whatever. And it's like, okay, well maybe it's gone forever. No, it comes back. He
Yeah.
just never used it.
Nope.
well, he needed it.
Didn't work for the plot at that
He
point.
needed it. All right. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with Tim Davis on board as a Jurassic expert, where we reviewed Jurassic Park, Jurassic World,
Yep.
Dominion.
There it is.
Yeah.
You got it.
We got it. Yes. And we gave it an average rating of 2.3 Barbasol shaving can container canister things out of 5.
Right, you didn't mention the dino DNA that's inside.
There's dino DNA inside.
There we go.
Okay. I mean, we don't see that in this movie.
Well, you didn't. And
No.
if you didn't know, you didn't know.
Yeah.
Just a shame.
Yeah, if you-
Spoiler, Todd.
If you've
He
never
just puts-
seen the
he
first movie, you're like, why's that guy holding on
Remember,
to this old
and remember,
can
it worked
of
with actual
shaving
cream.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Dotson. We got Dotson over here.
Toss it over here. Nobody cares.
That
That sums up the movie, really.
that rating is below average. And
Just like the movie.
that would normally lead us to say don't see it, but we will leave a little option for the fans of the franchise to go see it in theaters. But
That's close
everyone
enough
else-
to middle of the road that I think people.
Yeah, you know,
If you're gonna see it, you're gonna see it.
if you're got nothing better to do, go plop down your
Yeah,
$13.
this movie,
But
I don't think
matinee's
people
okay.
are
Matinee's
waiting.
okay for this one.
People aren't waiting for our review to go see this movie. They're going to
Correct.
see it no matter what, if they want to see it.
Right.
Now, maybe like movies like Men and some of the other like more indie movies we've seen, or
Or just lower budget stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think people might be waiting with bated breath for
Yeah.
that one.
Right.
Sure.
Which at this point, if you're listening to this one, you've probably listened to Men.
Of course
the
they have, because
podcast,
they're fans of the
But
podcast.
yeah, so it was better than Men. I'll at least say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, that's gonna do it for us. Thank you all fans for listening and subscribing and downloading our glorious podcast.
So
Please
glorious.
continue to do it. We will continue to make them, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da-da.
da da da.
Da-da-da.